Today, I want to hop on and do a video on why you're actually doing way better than you think you are in life and in business, and why that's actually important, why it's important to recognize that you're actually doing a lot better than you think you are. And the reason you need to think about this is we make a lot of our choices and decisions based on what we think is happening around us. So I'm just going to tilt this down a bit. So sometimes we might think, oh, I'm not capable of doing that, so I'm not going to do it. Or we might think, I'll never get that far, or I'll never get to that level of success, so you know what, I'm not even going to try. And we have this tendency when we don't actually think that we're better equipped to handle a situation, or when we don't actually realize we're doing a better job than we think we are, we have a tendency to stop ourselves and prevent ourselves from actually moving forward. And I'm going to give you a real life analogy for me. It happened to me this week, and it was my inspiration for today's video. So it had nothing to do with business, but like in all aspects of life, I feel like it doesn't matter what you're doing in life, everything is correlated, and you might learn a lesson in one area of your life and it's directly applicable to another area. So for me, I like to play basketball. And so on Monday night, I was playing basketball, and the whole game I felt like, I wasn't on my A game. Yeah, I was the only girl playing, so I played co-ed, and we just didn't have any girl subs. And so I was getting a little frustrated with myself because I felt like, I had enough time to really get into the rhythm, but I didn't feel like I was hitting as many shots as I wanted to. And so what ended up happening was, I don't even know how many shots I took, but what happened was there's probably like a 20% period of the game. And so remember, I'm playing the whole game. It's an hour long. So 20% is like 20 minutes. There was a time, that's actually really bad math. 20 minutes is not 20%, but I'm not good at quick math. So whatever, there was a percentage of the game where I was afraid to drive to the basket, or I was afraid to take a shot even though I had an opportunity. And the reason I was afraid was because I was so in my head about how I thought that I was having a bad game, how I kept thinking that I was missing all these shots. And so I just thought, you know what, it's better for me not to take the shots, and it's better for me to instead pass it to one of my players who's playing a way better game and is actually sinking their baskets. And then it got to a point where I took a shot, and then the basket went in, and then, a ripple effect, I started taking more shots again. And that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that at the end of the game, everyone on my team was congratulating me for how well I played. They were saying they thought that I played a great game. And one of the guys on my team actually said, like, Lana, I don't think that you missed one basket tonight. I'm pretty sure you sunk every single shot that you took. And that really took me aback, because there was a percentage of the game where I wasn't taking any shots because I thought that I was sucking so badly that it was just better for me to take no shots at all. And then here, from other people's perspectives, I was playing a really great game. And what that showed me was that I got so into my own head about how I wasn't doing a good job that I stopped playing, or I stopped pushing myself. And so I actually missed opportunities to score more baskets, or just enjoy the game because it's for fun. But again, what that taught me was that sometimes what we think isn't actually reality, and vice versa. Sometimes what other people think isn't actually reality. Because I know for a fact that I missed baskets that night. So it wasn't that I hit every basket, but what it goes to show is that somebody else was playing the same game I was. Somebody else was watching me play and experiencing me play the same way I was experiencing and playing the game myself. And this person had a totally different experience and outlook on how the game went for me versus my experience of how the game went. And this other person thought that I absolutely crushed it and I did such a good job, and I thought that I did a poor job. And again, why this matters is because there were times in that game where I wasn't playing to my fullest capabilities because I was just beating myself up about how I wasn't doing a good job. And if I had let that thought process continue, I wouldn't have gone on to play a really awesome game the rest of the time. And why this is important is, again, what we think really does impact our ability to succeed. And how this affects us in business is, if you think that you're doing a bad job, maybe you think like, oh, I haven't done a Facebook Live video in weeks, and people just they know, and I'm just not going to do it because it would be bad. I'm out of shape, or, I haven't posted in so long, I don't even know what to post. We just really get into our heads about what is going on or what isn't going on. And often the world around us is not aware of our internal struggles and conflicts. And in fact, the world around us often thinks that we're doing a really good job. And because we're just so stuck in our own heads and because we're stuck beating ourselves up, we're not actually taking steps forward to make progress the way that we should. And so what I want to give to you today is just like 3 tips to help you recognize that you are doing better than you think. Don't be like me on Monday in my basketball game, where because I was so in my head about how I thought I was playing a bad game that I stopped playing to my full potential, even though everyone around me thought that I was doing an exceptionally good job. We were in the same game. They were watching me do the same things that I was doing, but because my perspective was different, my reality was different. And that's really important for you to remember, because whatever we think our reality is what our reality is. I played the same game. Again, the guy that said he didn't think I missed one basket, and I felt like I missed all of my shots. So we were in the same game. We were watching the same thing, but because we were looking at the game differently, our reality was different. And so the 3 things I want you to really remember and kind of recognize is, again, we are what we think. So if you think that you're doing a poor job, you're going to do a poor job. If you think that you are bad at public speaking, you're going to do bad at public speaking. If you think that you're a poor writer, you're going to do a poor job of writing. Again, we are what we think. And why we are what we think is because what we think dictates our actions, and our actions dictate our reality. And sometimes also just what we think dictates how we perceive a situation. And so how we perceive a situation ultimately ends up being how we feel about that situation, and that ends up becoming true. So what you want to try and do is reframe your thoughts. So if you're like me on Monday Night Basketball and I was thinking to myself, like, you suck right now, like you cannot take another basket or you can't take another shot, in that moment, stopping and saying, like, that's not true. Maybe I haven't hit as many baskets as I want to, but reframing it by being like, that's okay. Again, Michael Jordan, you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. You're eventually going to sink a basket, or you're eventually going to get it. It's taking you a little bit longer today to warm up, and that's totally okay. You're eventually going to get back into the groove like you always do. So you want to do the same thing. How can you reframe your thoughts? Are you telling yourself that you suck at something or that you're not capable of something? Try reframing that thought and speak to yourself in a way that you would speak to somebody that you really, really care about. Because if you really cared about someone, you wouldn't belittle them if they were trying to do something new, or if they were trying to do something maybe that they are good at, but they're just having a rough day. You would tell them, be patient with yourself. You're just warming up, or be patient with yourself. It's okay. Like, there's always going to be trial and error. You can't always be perfect, but that doesn't mean that you can't keep going. That's how you want to talk to yourself. So if you do find yourself in a situation saying, like, there's no way I could ever do that, or I'm totally not capable of that, or I suck, or I've been sucking, reframe your thought. So ask yourself, like, that might be true. Maybe you have been sucking, but like, that's okay. Don't let that continue to be your reality. So try and do a reframe so that you can get back on track. The second thing, using my basketball analogy or my basketball story, is take the shot, even if you're afraid. So if there's an opportunity in front of you, maybe there's a certain type of client or customer that you want to work with, but you feel like you don't have the skills or expertise to work with them yet, or you have a new price or package that you want to offer people, but you're too scared to actually make the offer because you think people are going to laugh at you, or because you think that no one would pay you. Take the shot, go for it. You never know what's going to happen. And like everything, you have to do things sometimes a few times and fail so that you can readjust every time. Because every time you fail, it's not actually a failure, it's just a learning process. And you might miss that shot, but you figure out, okay, what did I do last time that kind of made me miss the shot? Maybe like I shot too much from the hip, again, basketball. Or maybe I shot too early, or maybe I didn't follow through enough. Analyze when you're falling short. Analyze when you're like missing that opportunity or not getting what you want, and figure out what small shifts can I make to get better so that I can actually land that client or offer that package or release that program. Not, oh, I tried once or twice, I suck, so I just have to completely ditch this whole idea. So again, take the shot even if you're afraid, and just keep readjusting. And again, going back to step 1, like, reframe your thoughts so that you're thinking more positively about the situation and more practically. Okay, good. I'm glad Jacqueline likes that. Just take the shot, take the shot. And it's true. And then the third, and really, really important, is also celebrate the wins. So even if you take the shot and you miss, celebrate the fact that you took the shot even though you were scared shitless. So if you feel like, again, there's a product that you want to launch or a course that you want to launch as an example, and you launch it and you hear crickets or it doesn't go as well as you thought, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't say to yourself, oh, this is proof that it was a failure from the get-go. Again, don't rabbit hole or spiral down that negativity. Don't be me on Monday night. And instead celebrate the fact that, like, hey, I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, and maybe I'm far from getting the outcome that I wanted. But I'm going to celebrate the fact that I still was brave enough to take this risk, even though there was a huge risk for failure, and I didn't get where I want to go, but that's okay. And then again, you do step 1 and you do step 2. So reframe the situation. You took the shot. So kind of if you missed, calculate and figure out, okay, what can I do differently next time? And then most importantly, actually celebrate when you are doing a good job. So again, going back to my basketball story from Monday night, when I was actually playing well and I was sinking all my shots, I wasn't really even celebrating them because I was still beating myself up for how I thought I was having a bad game. And at the end of the game, the guys on my team, again, not only said that they were pretty sure I didn't miss any shots, but they also told me that I had one of the nicest baskets of the whole game. And for me, I wasn't even relishing in that because I was just so focused on how shitty I thought I had done. And so it's really important. Again, sometimes what we think is happening in a situation is not what's happening around us. And I could have enjoyed my game so much more, and I probably could have played so much more had I not been kind of stuck in this negative feedback loop and instead been focusing on the things that I was doing well. And so learn from my mistakes. Luckily, it was just a basketball game that this happened to me on. But again, I really want you to recognize that we are what we think. So you need to be able to reframe your thoughts, take the shot, even if you're scared, and celebrate your wins. Because running a business, starting a business, running a business, growing a business, doing all the things in a business is not easy. We all know that it's hard. And if we are speaking to ourselves negatively, and if we're looking at everything we do from such a hypercritical lens, it's only going to make it harder for us to get to where we want to be in our business. And it's only going to be harder for us to actually enjoy our life. So do know that if you have a tendency to be overly critical of yourself in your business, or you have a tendency to kind of put yourself down a lot in your business, I want you to kind of stop and reevaluate the situation and recognize that, of course, you're going to do things wrong. We all do. We're human. We make mistakes. But that doesn't mean that because you made a mistake, that's going to now dictate how your whole business operates, or that doesn't dictate that every time you do something or every time you do that thing that you're going to screw up or make a mistake. You have to keep going, keep learning. It's always a process. Be kind with yourself. You're going to get to where you want to be. You just got to recognize that you're doing better than you think you are, and be patient with the process and keep going, keep pushing. And so as always, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I tried doing it today with my podcast mic so that hopefully my sound's a little bit better. So hopefully you can also hear me. And until next week, I hope you keep kicking butt, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.